Never in my life would I think it would become what it is now.
I don't know how a script like this that was so well written, but was also artistic and most importantly, original, came across to me. The date is Sunday, March 23rd, 7:57 a.m. As director Emma Claire Speranco speeds toward the bookstore, the cast of Tender Was... You know that I could use some friend like you and chocolate chip. Just my friend.
I came up with this story 3 years ago after I attended my first 5-minute film festival here at Harding. I had this one-shot idea of a woman in the field and the camera pans around to the front of her face. I just could not get that image out of my head. Before I knew it, it was like 5 or 6 in the morning and I had this whole idea. I called a bunch of people, Alita being one of them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have this idea for a movie. We have to make it happen.
She had this picture in her head and I said, okay, well, you should probably do something with that because it sounds really interesting, but you have to flesh it out. And so she did, and then Tender Was The Waltz was born.
With each year that went by, it felt a little more impossible to do this project, just because the more I learned, the more I understood how much it would take to make this project happen. It got to last semester in August, and I was talking with my first AD, Alita, and I don't know, I just had this feeling and I was like, I think we can do this.
And then Lucas is sitting here. His job is entertain Emma Claire while we wait for Alita. He's very good at it, as you can see. Wait,
Watch
0.5.
Watch it. Watch the hands. Watch the hands.
There are so many unique things about this project. One of them being that we took an entire crew to Atlanta, which is insane. And we got housing and flights for some actors, and just the spectacle of it for the level that we're at in film education is kind of crazy. I think the most unique thing was genuinely the group of people that came together for this.
Tender Was The Waltz was a screenplay written by the one and only Emma Claire Smith, and it tells a modern adaptation of the complicated but beautiful story of F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda Fitzgerald.
It was so interesting because there were so many moments where I was like, oh, okay, it's not coming together, it's not gonna work out. But then God would just be like, here's this awesome person who you never knew existed, but they're fantastic at what they do and you're gonna love them.
I was doing two things I normally don't do, just eat bagels and just sit in the stew by myself. And LeClaire just approaches me with Violet and they're like, hey, we've got a business proposition for you. You wanna come act in a movie over spring break? And I was like, okay. Next thing I knew, I was in Atlanta.
She had literally never seen me act before. She just kind of trusted me with it, which is crazy, and I'm so thankful for her and for this project.
I think when you get into the industry proper, there are other bigger factors. That's not a position we're currently in, and so I think we are uniquely suited to make something just because we care about it.
I don't feel like you see a lot of films that look at a relationship that is both beautiful and a little abusive and can still pull out love is beautiful. It's difficult and it's complex, but it's beautiful.
Hi guys, we just made it to the Fitzgerald's house and we're here. We're in the Zelda suite. They lived here and this is the last time that they were all together as a family.
So I started reading about Zelda and I was baffled at some of the things that I learned. She was a fearsome woman. She was strong, she was unafraid and unapologetically herself all of the time, no matter what the circumstance. She wanted to love everybody, she wanted to be free, most of all. But she just captured me, and I loved reading about her personality and what other people would write about her. I also learned that she was also a writer, and that F. Scott loved her writing and even used some of her own writing in his books. That can be debated about whether or not it was plagiarism. I've talked to some Zelda scholars since then that say it wasn't. Some people say it was. I'll leave it up to your own discretion. Nevertheless, some of F. Scott's most famous lines came from Zelda and from her journals, but nobody knew. I read actual letters between F. Scott and Zelda while they were apart. And I also contacted some Zelda scholars, and we went to the F. Scott Fitzgerald house in the museum there, and I talked with some Zelda scholars that have been able to read some of her medical documents, and I learned so much. I kept falling into this world and into this person, and I was like, I want to have her shine in a way that she never got to. It would make her so sad to know that she's only remembered as F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife. Zelda had a lot of mental struggle throughout her life. She was diagnosed with schizophrenia in her early 30s. Some say now that it was not schizophrenia. They gave her a lot of mental treatments, some of which are now banned in medical practice. She actually died in a mental institution in Asheville, North Carolina, when she was only 47 years old. March 10th, 1948, she died in a fire. She couldn't get out from the building. She was locked in her room. Her tragic life, and reading about it, it's helped me ask a lot of questions, really hard questions, and it's challenged me, and it's made me think about the way that I want to lead my life, and most importantly, the way that I want to love other people. I hope that this film brings some of these questions to the audience as well, and I hope that it challenges them and makes them want to think about these things and delve into it.
26C, pick up, Tender Was The Waltz, Emma Claire.
I mean, on the first day, there were apparently a ton of little fires that went up and and things that happened. I had no idea about any of it. I did not know until the end of the day, which is so funny to me. But everybody figured it out, and we got through it, and that first day of filming was fantastic.
On the first day, the first scene, we were going to shoot the whole thing. I was setting up the camera outside in the car. You know, I'm putting all these gadgets on it, and then I plug the camera in. Suddenly, it's not just that everything doesn't turn on, the battery doesn't turn on. It's like, okay, that's really not good. I was out there with my first AC, and I just looked at him, I was like, we're going bare naked. And we just went in with a camera with no gadgets, no gizmos, and I just had to slap it on top of a tripod and just go.
Lighting is underneath the camera, like that's the camera's people. Me and Neil and Skylar were like a real close trio. Neil would say, hey, I need the shot to look like this, so this is my idea. This is what I want you to do. Go do it. And then we would go do it.
6 feet from the edge, and now I'm thinking, maybe 6 feet ain't so far down.
Never even seen half of this stuff before, besides like maybe a blooper of some Marvel movie. I don't know if it's like this on all the sets, but it really seemed like everybody was super passionate about what they were doing.
Nice pants, nerd.
Like, I don't think there was anybody there who didn't really care about what they were doing, which for student projects and even professional projects, that's not very common, that everybody is actually fully present and trying to do their job the best that they can.
I've got a lot of favorite moments. We had fire. That's really fun. There were times where it wasn't practical to have an actual fire on set, so that meant that lighting had to replicate a fire with lights and with stuff to reflect the lights onto people's faces.
Neil spent a lot of time talking to me and Isaac about like what it was gonna look like and how we weren't really gonna know until we got on set and everything, and how it's gonna be like time crunch and we're only gonna get a couple takes to like get it right and everything. And that night was, everyone had finally found their element. It felt like everyone knew their place. It finally felt like working on like a real film set. It was like, here's all the student productions that you've been doing and like your classes and everything, and then now here's this that I'm working on. And like it, for some reason, that moment being there was the peak to just jump it up from student level like class projects to something of a professional grade, in my opinion.
Everyone on set was very gracious and like allowed for whatever process I needed to like let that happen and let the character bloom in that way. They were all very supportive. There was just such a supportive air working on set.
One particular moment where our director, Emma Claire, after an intense scene, she pulled our actors aside and just went into another room. And from what I understand, wept with them, just realizing what a director looks like, what it really looks like. I think that was a huge thing for me.
During that crying scene, that one rough night, I was crying, trying to get into character, but the passion just wasn't there because we had just been doing it for a while. And she walks over to me. She said exactly what I needed to hear as an actor, that just like twisted the knife of the character. And so I think that was just a special moment, that she knew my process and what I was thinking in those moments, and she met me there. It was almost like, as an actor, a confirmation of the emotions that I was feeling were correct. And she was like, not only that, but continue it and push it and continue to go.
So this is my first time directing a short film. I don't know, with them, it felt like all of us were there, and it just made sense.
You too. The whole week was so special, just spending time with these people that I had no reason to know until that week, and forming those connections and learning from all of these people who are so skilled in their craft.
It felt like you were working with your best friends at their most professional.
Everyone loved each other. The best way to explain it is that, like, we all just loved each other. Whether we knew each other or not very well at the beginning, by the end of the week, it was like, oh, I don't want to leave.
That is another thing that I think Tender Was The Waltz is original for. That is like something that I think Emma Claire's environment that she created was something that I could say is special to other film sets, is that we all went home together. It's not like we had rented an Airbnb and had just gone there. Like, we went to a home when we were done.
Walking through my home and seeing so many people that I love and having their laughter fill the halls, that was the most beautiful moment. And I will never forget that.
Like he does with everything, God played a huge part in this project.
To see other people have those experiences and their section of the project where they're like, I have no clue how this worked or how this got pulled off, but I walked in the room and did 2 things and then it worked. And I feel like that was just a common thing of showing up and God kind of working through it.
It was working with the love of Christ all around me. It was the most beautiful thing.
That's a wrap on Tender Was The Waltz.
Now we go to the Tender Was The Rap Party.
Tender Was The Rap Party.
Tender Was The After Party.
I think this film talks about something that is talked about by few others, which is that love isn't perfect. Just because it isn't perfect doesn't mean it's not real. And I think that that is something that Emma Claire has known forever, and that is why this project meant so much to her. She needed to tell everybody this truth that is so clear to her that nobody else knew.
When it comes to looking forward, there are a lot of things that are very exciting. But the thing is, if it doesn't go well, at the end of the day, I still got to create something that I've dreamt of creating for years. And I got to do it with people who are honestly more dedicated than a lot of people that are in Hollywood right now. And that's the biggest gift to me. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And that's what I'm grateful for. I have a good feeling about the future, but that's not going to take my eyes away from the greatness of what has already been.
Bye now.
Bye.